Prepare for battle.
Your anger is useless here.
Это такая душка!
골드 뭘 못해! 골드 뭘 못해! 나이스!
毁天灭地，nice！
30 seconds to battle.
First blood!
How close was that?
First blood. I foresee a great deal more.
The battle begins.
With me!
Let me know.
Your place is here. The tide has turned. No! Don't stop you.
Radiant's courier has been killed.
Vision turbulence.
스캔 돌려야 돼요.
Never refuse
스캔
school.
돌려야 된다고요.
What surge is this?
Set in stone.
For my coffers.
Perfect location.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Life fade from memory.
Lies beyond.
Oh, my sweet sister. Behold the answer to all life's questions.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower has fallen. Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
This was a success.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Most helpful.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Use gold given.
Double damage.
What surge is this?
Radiant structures are fortified. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower has fallen. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's top tower is under attack. Dire's top tower is under attack. Dire's top tower has fallen. Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Tracks its own kind.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant structures are fortified. Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
Well, well.
Yo, this guy has no chill, man.
Bounty. Earth's bounty. Never refuse gold given.
Painted into a corner.
Radiant are scanning. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Life, now dream deep of death.
Fallen to the dying. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Bury him somewhere.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Taken by the undertow.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower has fallen. Radiant's top tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Spirit alone continues.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Monster kill!
Radiant's middle tower has fallen. Radiant's middle barracks are under attack. Radiant's middle barracks has fallen. Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
You know what?
Radiant team ban.
Second game of this best of 2 series
Fnatic's
between
turn
T1
to
and
ban.
Fnatic. It is MLP Dota, and of course John X Fire. John, game 1 didn't go very well for T1. It was a rough experience, of course. Fnatic, they had their Morphling, they had their DP, they had their Nature's Prophet, and they destroyed T1 in game 1. What do you think needs to change from their side of things to be able to at least draw out this series?
10 seconds.
I think
remaining.
a couple of bans have to come out here, Mike. I think you've got to see the Morphling
5
banned out for
seconds
Savage. Do a lot of work on it every single time Fnatic's able to pick it up. And it hasn't been banned yet. So that is still an option on the table for Fnatic
Radiant
if T1
team banned.
ends up not banning it out. I think a couple of things as well for T1. Aggression did not pay off. I think they've got to work on the execution of that. If they want to run that aggressive trialing, they have to commit to it. If they had all the tools there with Grimstroke, Darkseer, and Earth Spirit, and they just couldn't find those early kills, which you have to find when you have that
10
Earth Spirit.
seconds remaining.
Had it been any other
Fnatic's turn
position
to
one
ban.
on the side of Fnatic, and they probably would have actually found multiple kills on Savage, but that Morphling just always proves a bit too hard to kill, especially considering he can just juggle his HP whenever he wants. He didn't care for the Iron Shell, he didn't care for the role of the Earth Spirit. And we'll see, because Team 1, they haven't really banned out those heroes either.
10 seconds
Right,
remaining.
they've gone back to the same bans. This time around, they did get rid of the Ember.
5 seconds remaining.
I'm afraid they might leave the Timbersaw in for Fnatic, because
Oh,
if
man.
you leave the Timber in, Ice is probably going to go ahead and take it, but they do have one more ban. So it's either going to be Timber, maybe a Respect Morph ban. We know Fnatic, you've got to be worried about the Alchemist.
Radiant
They
team
do
ban.
love running that Alchemist on Savage as well. Fnatic, they will ban out the Centaur for now. Team 1. Like, what would you even prioritize? Would you get rid of the Morphling here? Would you just say screw the Timbersaw? I guess you could ban the Morphling later if you really want to.
10 seconds remaining.
I'd say priority, I'd honestly say the Morphling. Just
5 seconds
Savage is
remaining.
just such an integral part of why Fnatic wins that we've seen him struggle in different heroes, but we've never really seen him struggle on that morph. So you just take out that consistent factor. I think there are some chinks in the armor you could exploit if you force Fnatic to pick a different pause one. We've seen that. Moments we see Fnatic at their weakest is when Savage does not get that good start. So that is one way for T1 to kind of punish this lineup.
Right. Well, they are taking quite a lot of time for this this fourth ban now.
Fnatic's turn
Really
to
having to
pick.
think about it, and it's actually going to be the Lycan. Last game around, we saw them 5th ban the Lycan, I believe, or it was either 5th or 6th ban the Lycan. This time around, in the first ban phase. So now Fnatic, they can go back to the Prophet, they can go back to the Phoenix. Again, the
10
Timbersaw's there
seconds
for Ice
remaining.
if he wants to play that. Hell, they could go back to the offlane trio
5
if Ice
seconds
feels
remaining.
like it.
Yeah.
It's really up to him. The sky's the limit right now for Fnatic.
Radiant
And
team
they're going to
pick.
spend a bit of time here to decide what they want to start with, and of all things, it's going to be a tiny pick.
Yeah, that is pretty potent. I believe whenever Fnatic picks that up, that tends to be the DJ hero. I'm not sure if they're going to run it as a core. There is the flexibility for that as well. But it's just such a strong pick to have, right? You have the early aggression that can come out here.
10
The
seconds
damage
remaining.
output this Tiny brings is pretty ridiculous. And
5
it allows you to
seconds
throw an initiator in if that's going to be one of the things Fnatic looks for. So
Radiant
it's
team pick.
a very
speak
solid
for the
opening,
trees.
doesn't reveal too much. T1, they take the Nature's Prophet themselves. They want that disruptive offlaner with push potential and global presence. I can't blame them. Whether or not this is going to be for Forev or if it's going to be for Paulson is a different question. There is flexibility in that pick as well.
Yeah, no, there absolutely is.
10 seconds remaining.
T1. You can have a
5
think about their
seconds
second
remaining.
pickup now. That Prophet really just always feels like they're denying that away from Ice just in case you wanted to go back into that. Because the tiny Prophet combination can be quite dangerous as well. Like Avalanche toss and then you have a TP in from the Prophet to finish off the job.
Oh yeah.
It really can be
Fnatic's
devastating.
turn to pick.
T1, however, going to the task. I don't mind this. I like seeing that, but that does really reveal where this Prophet is going. Well, somewhat. It's either a pos 5 now, or it's going to be a pos 3. More than likely a pos 3.
Yeah, and
Fnatic's
it's all
turn
right
to
in that
battle.
case. Tusk Prophet is something we've seen a lot of. I love the response from Fnatic though. They pick up the jabs Winter Wyvern here, and it just clears out the Nature's Prophet wall, deep pushes the lane quite nicely. It gives you great team fight on top of that, and the only thing T1 really has to counteract that is the snowball. So you've got a lot
10
of
seconds
potential
remaining.
with Fnatic's draft. I think there is a lot of ways to make this one
5
work for them.
seconds remaining.
And T1, it's a solid opening. It doesn't look as scary as their initial opening last time. You know, they had a lot of potency with those early support picks. This time around, it's just kind of stable, but not too explosive.
That Wyvern does kind of give the indication that we could see something like that pos 1 Morphling coming back out. So Wyvern Morphling
sure.
is really, really dangerous in lane. Essentially meaning you just never kill the Morph.
No,
Just goes
It's just
full
no way.
Agimorph. Yeah, he just fully Agimorphs, you cold embrace him. He feels like
Yeah.
he goes to full HP again. And you just rinse and repeat over and over again. If you are Fnatic.
Radiant team
T1, of
battle.
course, do have the opportunity to make the ban right now, and Fnatic, they will ban out the Ricky, which is absolutely fair enough. T1,
you've got to ban a Morphling. Like, the Ricky ban out is so indicative that they want that Morph. You know, it's like, that's one of the heroes that messes it up because of the silence, and if you allow Fnatic to take it,
10 seconds
well, that's on you.
remaining.
You know, that is on them. They've got to be ready for the Morph to come
5
out if they don't ban it
seconds
here.
remaining.
that is true. I mean, you
Radiant
can
team
prep for the
pick.
Morphling, and oh, okay, Timbersaw will be the ban out now.
All right.
Maybe they feel like they can go to the last ban phase before getting rid of that Morph, if they do believe it is still going to be a problem. For now, they don't want to have to deal with some Timbersaw from Ice, which is also fair enough, because that would be somewhat devastating if you don't have the answers towards that Timber. T1.
10 seconds remaining.
Show us some cores here, I believe.
5
Suppose we could see a
seconds
position
remaining.
5 hero. It's hard for T1 though, right? Like, this is your first series in the BTS Pro Series, and you end up going against arguably the best team in SEA right
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah,
it's a very, very hard match to start off your tournament.
Yeah, it's a big test for them. I think they have some access to a couple of their more, favored picks. Again, that Venomancer is something we've seen 4F play a ton. I'm not sure if you're going to draft it this early though for T1, but it builds into your push with the NP nicely, and it's also
Fnatic's
somewhat
turn
of a
to
way
pick.
of dealing with that Morph they want to do. Nope, they go for the Keeper instead. You don't have the best combinations here for the Keeper. You're not seeing the Ember Spirit in the pool. You're not seeing the Bristleback come out just yet, although you could maybe draft that in here for T1. It's a bit of an awkward spot for it, but you could. And it's still potent, right? Like, you've still got that sustain in
10
lane, you've still
seconds
got the
remaining.
Will-O-Wisp for team fights. That can do a lot of work. I just want to
5
see more
seconds
follow-up to it.
remaining.
There's really not much to build off of that.
Right. Right. That fourth pick may reveal a bit more for T1 for us. We'll have to wait for Fnatic to make their third pick. Arguably should be the Ice hero now.
Radiant team
They have
pick.
been taking a bit of time here for these picks, but no. Savage will pick up the Troll Warlord for himself, and that's not really what we were expecting, but there you have it.
Yeah, I think it's still pretty darn good here. It does give you early fight potential as well. Again, we've seen Savage play this one a lot, and he does have a lot of success in it, so I don't blame Fnatic for
10
that.
seconds
Would be
remaining.
interesting to see what he does opt for a build.
Fnatic's
If he
turn
goes for
to
the Battle Fury or if he goes for the Diffusal or something earlier. T1, they do pick up the Spec. So they want to maybe stall the game out, grow big in the Spectre, just be a menace. I have a couple of issues with this pick though. You've already got the Tiny Winter Wyvern, which can kind of punish that. And the Troll, depending on how Savage builds it, can come online a bit faster.
10 seconds remaining.
So I'm not sure if there's enough time for the Spectre to really grow big here.
5
Yeah,
seconds
we've seen
remaining.
the Troll vs Spectre multiple times, and every time we've seen it throughout this Pro Series, the Troll has won the matchup. Just seems like the Spectre never really gets to that point where it just becomes a powerhouse. And well, Fnatic now. The one pick we always see up against Spectre is the Necrophos, and of course, there it is.
Yeah, straightforward,
Just
right?
such an obvious pick for Ice in that off lane.
Yeah, it's
That scares me
Was-
to T1.
it makes it harder for them to buy that space for the Spectre. And now the momentum you're seeing from Fnatic, I think it all lines up really well. All of these heroes
10
don't take too
seconds
long.
remaining.
Only the Troll really takes some build up, but you can mitigate that for
Fnatic's
going
turn
for
to
a
fan.
faster set of items, a much more fighty build for Savage, which is an option. I think you're going to have to see something come out here from T1 for their mid that is a lot more disruptive, that can give them that space, because you look at an NP Tusk and Keeper, not really, you know, the kind of aggression you want to see to buy
10
space
seconds remaining.
for Spectre. It's not quite enough. They need a mid that is equally as
5
fast
seconds remaining.
to help them get that space going.
Just like one of those, avoid spirit game. Just some really fast-paced kind of lineup for the side of Fnatic. Of course, they do ban out the DP, so they won't have that option. But you could really just go something like a Void Spirit, Pugna.
Fnatic's
Pugna
turn
would
to
actually
pick.
be decent because you have the Necrophos, you don't want it to be countered
Yeah.
by the Pugna. We'll see. Fnatic ban out that Queen of Pain now, so potentially a TA as well could come out here from this Fnatic side. That could also work. So many options for Moon.
Radiant team pick. Mirana.
Oh.
And of all things, the Mirana pops up.
Yeah, that's quite the way to close out the draft. It's open at the end. It's really open at the end. Like, which one does get the core role, whether or not it's the Mirana or the Tiny, is up in the air, because we've seen DJ play the Mirana a couple of times as well.
10
And he does
seconds
fantastic
remaining.
work in the hero. So, a lot of options for Fnatic. This gives
5
them
seconds
a slight
remaining.
advantage, because they can toss around their roles right after T1 makes their choice for mid to find that favorable matchup. And this does play into the fastness of Fnatic's draft. So there's a lot of early aggression that can come out here, not a lot of farm required. And you look to Fnatic to try to close the game out before that Spectre can really take over. It's going to be a rough one for that
Does it ever
Spectre.
take over though? You've got to read the site there. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky to get to that point.
You may now
You can.
select
It's
your
just
hero.
such a long investment, and
Invoker.
that last pick,
Okay.
an IYD
Yes,
Invoker. Okay, yeah, it's
But that's a funny hat on the Invoker. I'll get to the full screen. What is that? Doesn't match at all.
no, but it's the wizard hat. It's the wizard hat. You gotta have it. And this closeout from T1 gives them that potency for early aggression. Right, there is a way for the Invoker to buy that space. It just doesn't feel like it's gonna be enough. And you look at Fnatic, they actually do run the Moon Mirana. So it is DJ on the Tiny, and if Mirana against Invoker, that should be fairly even until the Invoker starts to get some spells up. You look to T1 whether or not they're going to go for those early Sunstrike kills with the Nature's Prophet Sprout. There's potency there, it's just that you don't really tend to see that investment in Invokers early on for that spell. So T1 have to buy that space. Even if you're up against a Necrophos, the Spectre will still need a lot of space. Whether or not it's going to be enough is a different question. I do agree with you. Fnatic's draft, it just has the answers.
It's going to be a tough game for T1. I would say this game is much tougher than the first game, just based on drafts.
No.
There goes your keeper of the light. That is just a very, very strange hat on the inverter. And they all fall down.
They all.
Такая
You gotta
халява.
love it.
Пушка.
They're just done.
I thought that people would do when they put this into the battle pass. Just everyone would just go for the die option.
I know, I mean, you have this playground that everyone instantly mutes and hides anyway as well.
Speaking of, I haven't hit it yet. Just wanted to see who's playing, and we have a tiny Mirana matchup, it seems like. Moon and DJ going at it for the last seed. Who wins it? It is Moon. Congratulations, Moon. That's
Yeah, good job. Great job, and T1. It's hard to say whether this draft is better than Game 1. I would actually say no. I think I did like that Game 1 draft a bit more. Because you did have the potency of the Darkseer, although it never kicked in. But you had that potency with the Darkseer, Earth Spirit, and Grimstroke. In here, there are ways to make this work, it's not easy. Okay, so IYD crashes again.
There is nothing that can stop this man.
Wait out a bit more.
Beast bomb.
This is the one thing I look forward to when we got told we were casting this pro series. Just all the spam of the voice lines.
Oh yeah.
Nothing like SCA when it comes to Battle Pass.
Oh yeah. Definitely. I think Savage is enjoying those Korean lines a bit much. He mentioned in Game 1.
The Korean lines are the best. Honestly, they are. Like them and the your people. The Filipinos, right?
Lon and Duno, my two boys.
Right.
Yeah, great guys. It's a pleasure working with them. Really cool. But yeah, I think Savage mentioned this was his dream last year, so props to him for finally getting to the whaling point. We're not going to report that to any whaling authorities, of course. It's perfectly fine here. Oh, another crash, of course.
Another crash, another playground.
Indo combat. Forev. Come on.
I don't understand what's going on, sir.
Oh, Forev's just playing Indonesian computers, apparently.
That's not nice.
Come on, Forev. He's your teammate. He's your teammate. You know? That was long enough that they've got their all chat again, you know? Yeah. It's that long that they got their chats up again.
Who needs casters anymore, right? You just let the players do that job as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there you go. That's it. We can just take a backseat here and observe. That's it.
Surprised you haven't asked any of the players in lobby what their favorite noodle type are, though. You haven't had that conversation today.
Your favorite what?
Fnatic
Sorry, it chopped off.
Favorite noodles, John.
Oh! I know, I just felt the aura of the lobby. And it seemed pretty serious. Except for Savage throwing an emote out, but that was it. That's all the interaction. Maybe later on, maybe when the droid's there, we can have some trash talk for a bit, for fun, you know? Just to keep you guys confused. I love it when you and Zex are confused in lobby. It's always nice to have everyone else not understand.
Fair enough. Get DJ on that tiny. They probably won't make the jump. Like, you do have the potential there, just first blood on that tiny, but I'm sure Paulison will just want to wait until you get to that point where you're in the laning stage and just try to go for the early first blood with that tag team. Having a bit of a dance. Nothing wrong with that.
You've got jabs as well.
Day, John, disco balls actually existed. These days, I don't see any disco balls anymore.
Well, I wouldn't know. I haven't been out in 3 months, so I haven't seen one.
The battle begins.
Don't lie, John. You didn't go out before that anyway.
The sad thing is I can't say that's false.
Fnatic, they end up finding 2 bounty runes. T1, they find 2 for themselves. Another great even start. And yeah, they are going to start off with this tri-lane. Should really mean an easy first blood here for the side of T1, because you will have the tag team from Polison. Unless DJ makes an amazing toss on the task. Could stop all that from happening.
Yeah, it's nice to see this coming out from T1 again. They have been trying these tri-lanes. Policy
goes in, wants the Necrophos though, but there's the toss.
Boink. Oh boy.
DJ knew. They knew it was coming.
Yeah.
If I knew, they knew.
Oh yeah. And this is really gonna hurt their level 1 aggression. I mean, they're trying again, but the toss is gonna be up.
DJ, he's not going to let them get close to Ice. Of course, the weakness of the Necrophos is these early levels before you get that Ghost Shroud up. That's really the only time he's susceptible. It's like after the Ghost Shroud's there, you just can't kill him anymore. And they certainly don't have much magic damage. In fact, a nice cross back onto Miracle. Leading to nothing, just DJ trying to get an extra ticket damage up onto that Spectre. Mid lane, in your dream on that Invoker, going to be up against Moon on the Mirana, which is not exactly the lane matchup I thought we'd be seeing in the second game.
No.
Who do you think it favors?
Well, it looks like Moon is having a better time so far. 6-3 up against IYD's 4-1. Just a bit of an earlier start. Again, the Invoker takes a few levels to really kick in. Maybe by the time he's 5, he can start to leverage that additional set of stats he gets, but earlier on, Moon's just gonna be fine. He just has better range, has really decent base damage, should be able to clear out these waves consistently.
Your dream, of course, going for the Quas Wex build, which is very, very standard these days, but that does mean we're not going to see any real early Sun Strikes. Imagine, should be going for an early Spirit Vessel as well, as you tend to do with this build, which will help, of course, up against the Necrophos. Uh-oh. Bounty has been placed. Eyes are on Polison now. The other day we did see a 5-man bounty being placed on a Kangaroo. I believe it was Hustler. You can't say it, sir. He is going to die. Of course, Savage is going to claim the bounty for himself.
Oh, man.
When Fnatic puts a bounty out, you cannot stay around. They will always chase for it.
Oh, certainly not. And first blood in the bounty? Savage must be feeling pretty fantastic. You do see Forev in that offlane on the NP. It's not applying enough pressure on Savage, and there's really not much you can expect from the NP in this case. You know, it's going to have to be a farming lane.
Great shards out from Paulson with the tag team, and now Ice might end up going down here. In fact, no, they can't finish the job off. DJ looking to go back in now. He does have toss though.
Oh.
Miracle gets a creep instead. And both sides will go back and lick their wounds.
Yeah, it's surprising that Jabs makes that early rotation though. It looks like they really just want to apply that pressure onto Miracle, realizing they could leave Savage up. They just want to match this aggression from T1.
That mid rotation, trying to see if he can find In Your Dream out of position, but he'll also stack for his Mirana. Power Room coming up. Regenerate it is for DJ, but it will get cancelled immediately. Paulson, of course, making sure that they don't give that refresh over or the regen over to the Mirana, because that wouldn't be very, very nice. Not the In Your Dream.
No, although Ice.
Doesn't have the Ghost Shroud. He does have the 6 charges. Now Miracle getting low. The toss is there. It's not quite enough yet, but the cold is raised. Jabs will ensure that the Necrophos will survive, and the Spectres will ultimately end up dying.
And it's almost like game 1. We saw T1 try to run a tri-lane. It didn't pay off then. This time they're losing their Spectre while maintaining a tri-lane. Not the best bit of news for T1. They're losing out on a lot of EXP to get this done, and you're still losing your Spectre.
Nobody's actually up in the off lane right now for T1 either.
Take that.
Savage has got a completely free lane. Every time the next problem does return, he just kind of gets forced out.
The
Pulse and
seeds
bot
of
lane
hope.
trying to go back onto Ice. It's just not the greatest of ideas, and unfortunately for the side of T1, Ice is about to hit that level 5 mark, where you usually will see the Ghost Round being leveled up, if he feels that it's necessary.
gotta save into something big here.
Savage joining his team now. In fact, never mind. He's going to go back towards his ancient stacks and start farming them out instead. I thought he may join them for a T1 tower push, but perhaps the presence of In Your Dream on that Invoker is going to be enough to force them back. Moon is still sticking around, however. Nice, nice, nice. Also there just behind. Nice. Yeah,
Dire's middle tower is
I
under
think just
attack.
keeping In Your Dream here down at the bot lane is already going to be effective enough, right? Because you've got this Invoker
Radiant
that's taking
structures
experience
are
two other
fortified.
supports right now. Trying to defend the T1, which is not what he really wants to be doing. Instead, they're trying to eyesight sights again. Snowball, EMP going to be
Radiant's
there. The
bottom
Ghost Run
tower
has been
is under
popped.
attack.
Forever will TP in as well. And again, the Necrophobes probably will die. I don't know if it's really well
Radiant's
worth it,
bottom tower is under attack.
I
It's
don't
not.
think it is.
Radiant's
It's
bottom
really
tower
not, because
has
he's
been
not the
denied.
problem. Ice does not care. He's giving space towards his more important cores, and they still find that tier 1 bot anyway. So they find the objective in exchange for that Necrophos. Even if you're at 7-3 right now for T1, you're still behind 2k. That means your Spectre is just not finding as much farm.
Miracle is still trying to get that farm up on that Spectre. He hasn't fallen too far behind. He's at 4k net worth right now. He's really just focused on that jungle farm. No quick buy items yet, so we don't really know what kind of item he's going for. But mid lane, there is a jump there onto Joe Camp. Moon gonna get snowballed, but does leave away now. Miracle gonna join
Dire's
in,
middle
but Moon will just
tower
leave
is under
away again.
attack.
And we'll give Miracle a tip as well.
What the f just happened?
Team 1 are really just sticking as a team. Like, they're constantly 4 heroes in a lane, just making sure no T1s are going down. Which is all fine, right? Because you can just allow the Spectre to keep free farming
Radiant's
in the
bottom
jungle
tower
as well,
is under attack.
and just run up 4 protect 1. It's just that we've already seen that, and
Yeah,
the Reaper
really.
side kind of deletes that idea anyway.
Yeah, the biggest issue here is that it's not very efficient for all of them to group up. You look at Fnatic, they've been getting steady farm and EXP onto Jabs.
Dire are
They've been
scanning.
able to give some space towards DJ as well. He's saving up for his blink on the Tiny. Ice is the only one to fall behind, really, but he's the guy taking the risky farm. And he's been the bait to lure T1 in away from everyone else. So you're still finding a lot more here on Fnatic because of just how much T1 is committing to stay together. They will try to push that top
Dire's
tier
top
1.
tower is under attack.
I don't know if this lane is going to matter too much, although it
Dire's
looks like
structures
Fnatic
are
is
fortified.
around to try to defend.
We do have a pause coming out. Fnatic was smoked up, they were looping around, but again, you have to fight into 4 heroes.
Meepo!
So Fnatic may not really want to take this fight.
Meepo! Meepo!
I don't think Ice is too interested in jumping in with his team right now.
Meepo!
I mean, they already found the bottom tier 1 tower on the side of Fnatic. There's no need to try and defend this one.
Meepo!
It ends up being a trade.
Meepo!
Yeah. It's a pretty dead lane for Fnatic as well. They've not been farming in that area for a while. They've only sent jabs up there in that lane to secure those lane creeps, so not the biggest
Radiant's
loss if they
middle
do
tower
actually
is
drop
under
this one.
attack.
Tornado gonna fly through.
Dire's
DJ's
top
still
tower
just
is
standing
under
there behind a
attack.
tree line, but understands there's no point being there, so he will just leave. And that tier 1 tower will drop for the side of
Dire's
team 1.
top tower has fallen.
But I look over at Savage and he's about 800 gold away from finishing off that Battle Fury now on the Troll. Just needs that final Mithril Hammer. Team 1, they're going to just keep going
Radiant's
up that
middle
top
tower
lane.
is under attack.
They want to continue trying to apply pressure and take over that dire side jungle, because they know that's where Savage is farming.
Radiant's bottom
But you're going
tower
to need that
is under
mid tier 1
attack.
tower to really do that. Otherwise, you haven't really taken over full control.
Yeah, it's not gonna be quite enough. I do like the wards they've dropped down, so it looks like they want to really shut this part of the map
Radiant
down.
structures
Should
are
allow them
fortified.
much more aggressive moves
Dire's
later on,
structures
but
are fortified.
again, you look across the map, Moon has been applying pressure towards that mid, and Tornado does not latch on.
biding their time. Miracle does end up going for a Yasha into the Manta style now, so not going to go for that Radiance Rush, and I can't quite blame him.
Shadows take
I
us.
think he will need those added stats to really be able to try and survive any kind of incoming ganks.
Dire's middle
It's going
tower
to be
is
pretty
under
hard though,
attack.
even with that Manta.
Yeah, it's not quite going to be enough. It gives him a little bit more leeway, at least in these fights, but I think when it comes down to it, it's not going to speed your farm up by too much as well. So there are certain factors to consider when going into the Manta build. It does signal a bit more fight from T1 though. So once that's up, expect them to try to group up and play with their Haunt. We've not seen that just yet from Miracle.
Have you seen the build Moon's going for? It's got a crystal sub.
I like it. It's an old right-click Mirana. It's been a while, but when you can get it started, you know, it can do the work for you.
Very, very
Radiant's
feels like
middle
it's been
tower
at least
is
a
under
year since
attack.
we've seen that. Moon could be in trouble mid lane. He does take a fair bit of damage, but they don't really have the lockdown for it. He's just gonna pop his haste rune and he finds a regen.
Oh,
Nice.
what is that luck?
It's lock. Jabs now has the meteor hammer up on the Winter Wyvern. He's been taking a lot of lane farm. Ancients with a Battle Fury Troll. Never hurts to take them.
That's just a...
Price also start to
Radiant's
catch up really
middle
nicely
tower
as
is
well.
under
He's got
attack.
the Yule Scepter up now, getting even harder to kill off.
Come!
Yeah, I think that's going to be really helpful for his job of being a distraction. So it will stall out those fights a little bit more and just gives him a lot more presence. You look at the progression from T1, you do have the Spirit Vessel up and running in IYD. It's just that he has no charges because, well, they haven't found a kill recently, so they're gonna need to build up on that. The support's not really progressing too much in anything. Still looking at Phase Boots coming out for Paulson and the Glimmer Cape for Jokam. Our NP Forev does have the mech. They can give themselves a bit of a burst heal.
Has fallen.
I don't know if that's going to be enough considering just how much Fnatic has. He is working towards the pipe next, so pipe should mitigate the magic damage you are seeing coming out from DJ.
Absolutely. The mid tower, Moon does end up taking it out.
Regeneration.
Still trying to really find their footing in this game, just trying to secure more farm up.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Seems to be a delay game here, just keep giving the Spectre space. Slowly working towards that mad style still. Savage as well is going to be going for a Sergeant Yasha on that troll wall. In the mid lane, there could be a fight breaking out. They have jumped off the Moon. Moonlight Shadow going to be there. He's still very low. He actually went invis there for a second, but ultimately does end up going down on Miracle. Immediately gives him the tip.
See you later, nerds.
It's a really nice pickup for T1. A bit aggressive for Moon to be that deep in. Just want to clean up Jokam and couldn't quite get that job done. So good punishment from T1. Still.
Into the region.
Dire's middle tower
Devastating.
is under attack.
Devastating combination.
Oh man.
Yeah, he's gonna have to sit there and think about what he's done. And here we go. Bounty has been set. Fnatic, all eyes are on the Spectre. Nice, I started preemptively giving him the tip.
Just to get
一个
ready.
没有感情的刷钱
Oh
机
man.
器。
Yeah, Miracle. It's still 8-4 T1, finding a bit more in terms of kills, but not really making that count for a net worth advantage. Savage still maintaining a substantial lead above everyone else and is working towards a very fast BKB.
Tornado up, EMP, not gonna last that. DJ gets in there, however, with a nice apple. Now Savage looking to try and fight. There is a horde being popped. Goes through, making Arsenal too much of these alive. Now he does go down. Savage, he popped the battle trance, but the blind light is gonna make it so he does no damage. And now they may be able to trying to go after jabs at least.
Radiant's
They
current
should be able to secure the Wyvern. But DJ, what are you doing? He's going for an avalanche toss onto the Prophet. Arrow. He wants to go for the sample. It does land, but Fred is too tanky with that Hood of Defiance. He will get out of there. And DJ, trying to run. He will make it up. But Moon will also walk out. And Bounty is yet to be claimed.
That's a bit messy from Fnatic. They don't manage to find the big kill they want. Beck, and they lose out on Savage as well. Just really risky to pop that battle trance right then. And DJ?
Yeah, he thought he could hide from that. He had his blink off cooldown, but it looks like it took him too long to decide where to blink to. Nice pick up there for Team 1. Well, Team 1, you know, they are still 5k net worth behind, but they just showed how they do intend to deal with this Fnatic draft. And as long as Iron Science gets removed from these team fights before they even start, then Miracle on the Spectre doesn't really even feel like he's in danger. And quite frankly, he's not really in danger at all.
No, and now a free roach going to be taken. It goes down really fast.
Radiant's bottom tower
with that alacrity you can give. It's just gonna melt.
Our shine has fallen to the Radiant.
Aegis over to the Spectre. He's going to be feeling a lot safer. This game suddenly got a lot closer now. Fnatic, they're letting that network lead they had slip away just slowly but surely. And I wonder, what do you build into the Spectre now? Like, you've got that Manta up. What do you want next?
Heart, just straight up heart, just to bulk yourself up. A lot more. It still beefs you up a lot. Like, you need to drop her down proportionally, and the damage isn't quite up there yet from the rest of Fnatic besides Savage, so it is a way to kind of mitigate that risk.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Fnatic. Gonna be there on the Pulse does try to block him out with shards, and now a nice snowball into jams, but ultimately will end up dying. Still just buying more and more time for Spectre. Not all
Dire's
bad
middle
news,
tower
just losing that boss score like that.
Radiant's
And
top
that may
tower
start
is under
feeling like
attack.
they need to start applying pressure on Moon. Sunstrike actually ended up missing, but it doesn't matter. That's a great kill there for Miracle. Suddenly, Team 1. I don't know about this in Fnatic. Sam's trying to go by himself with that battle trance. BKB TP, not gonna work.
No. What?
Oh boy.
Ooh. That's a big loss for Fnatic. The fresh 10-second charge gone. Big core gone, and T1, they're starting to bounce back in. They still are playing at the deficit, but Miracle is going to be an issue now. Like, he has just been allowed too much space. Fnatic has not been able to punish. Got to find a way to keep Ice alive. That's the key thing. He needs to be able to get that sight off, or otherwise there's no answer.
T1.
Dire's middle tower.
Go down the T1 tower. Nice deny out from DJ. It's going out to DJ for that time. Very, very nice.
See you later, nerds.
Fnatic is still on the back foot here. I say back foot. They've got 4k worth of a net worth lead, but in terms of momentum right now, it's definitely the way of Team 1. Miracle, he actually puts the Radiance in the quick buy, so it looks like he is going to go back for the Radiance. He does have a lot of gold sitting on him right now, so I can't quite blame him.
Yeah, I think there's value in it. Just gives you a lot more durability up against a troll, and the mischance is something both Savage and me have to consider now. It's just going to be constantly there, and again, as long as you take care of Ice before anything major breaks out, you don't really have too much to worry about anyway on the spec. So just a lot of things now starting to line up for T1. Fnatic, and they've got to find a solution to Miracle. They just need to be able to isolate him and sight him up. That's all they need.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Savage gonna start going down to that bot lane. Miracle is
Dire's top
defending.
tower has fallen.
Arrow, barely getting near it right now. Toss back, there is gonna be a Reaper cycle to Jokan. They just secured the kill with the light kill, and now they look for a way onto that Spectre. The problem is he did use that Reaper sight. Still, they have plenty of damage to try and dish out with the troll, but Fnatic, they look to just accept that kill and back off, and now the new bounty is going to be applied onto In Your Dream.
Dire are scanning.
Yeah, it's, I know about all these bounties though. They haven't been claiming them. Although they are claiming the actual bounty runes.
Well, that's good. It's probably pretty important to get those ones.
Yeah, the one thing for T1 right now is, if you look at IYD, he is inching closer towards that Orchid. And once that's up, should give him an easy time to burst down one of these squishy supports, or even just Ice. Well, as soon as Ice uses the Guardian Greaves and Yules, it's going to be a sitting duck to that Orchid and should allow a lot more control coming out from T1. If you look at Forev as well, he did finish up his pipe on top of the mech earlier on. So now you've got a lot of durability to mitigate the magic damage coming out from Fnatic, and he's going straight into the Disarm, the Heaven's Halberd, to stop a lot of the damage from Savage or Moon from coming out.
Seems like a pretty good way to go. Forever, he's been doing quite nicely in terms of item progression. However, definitely going to help the cause for sure. Fnatic just grouping up together right now. Protecting Savage, it seems. The Fnatic are actually going to intend on building a silver edge on this troll wall to deal with the Spectre. I thought they'd initially just go for that Reaper sight, but they feel like they need to use it for somebody else. So you at least have the silver edge there up against the Spectre for later on. If you do get to that point, of course.
Yeah, it's it just takes away a lot of damage she does do with Dispersion, so just gives you a way of not having to deal with that, makes her a lot squishier as well, and should allow a faster time for Ice to just get the Reapers off. That's the key thing. Without that, it just takes too long to whittle down Miracle, considering the farm he has. So it's just a pretty nice pickup. You do see Savage finish the SNY first though. Pretty late pickup onto that, but just gives him more stats to play with, and then I suppose the resists are nice.
It seems that way. Savage. New farming up. Miracle does have the Radiance up now, so he's looking great, going into that Abyssal Blade up next. And Abyssal, once you get that timing, it becomes very, very scary to go up against the Spectre. But we do have a Moonlight Shadow coming out now from Fnatic. Get spotted, Paulson, nice dust out. Arrow does connect on In Your Dream, however, and a lot of things are flying out now. Gets the toss off from that Pokemon. He will force out the way. Tornado there as well. Moon is doing so much auto attack damage. He will take him out. Now the team fight does really start. They are chasing after that Mirage. Forcing as well. Who are they going to make the jump on? It will be on the Jab's nose. The switch up is there. He's already making his decision, and now the Wizard's Curse is going to fly out from Jab. Outlash toss, Meteor Hammer all being thrown up, and a great snowball save from Paulson. None of it hits. And with that, Perez will end up dying, but Jabs does also die. It's going to turn around. Paulson will be the one to take the Reaper sight. And DJ is still making the chase onto Miracle, but he won't quite have his hot target. So instead, they will go ahead and secure the bottom 2 tower.
It's not the ideal set of targets for Fnatic. You know they really were looking for Miracle.
But
they do still win out in the end, widening their lead to 9k on the gold.
Regeneration.
And they are starting to back in terms of map control. Just 2 tier 2s left for T1 before it starts disappearing, and just gives them a lot more control in that bot jungle. So just waiting for the opportunity to jump onto Miracle, and there are still tools there for T1. You saw that Snowball save, of course, just highly disruptive if they don't manage to isolate that Tusk. And that's always going to be a consistent worry now for Fnatic.
See Moon now as well, trying to pick up a Desolator on that Mirana. Trying to really amplify that right click damage. It's kind of close to it as well. He can almost afford to just buy it outright. Miracle was essentially untouched during that last team fight, which was really great for Team 1.
Yeah, it's just really hard for Fnatic to go all in on Miracle, and that fight was pretty split up as well. Savage was on the low ground, trying to isolate out Forev for a very long time, while everyone else was up high chasing Miracle. So they need to maybe reel in the fight, make it a bit tighter. They do have better control on a wide AoE thanks to the Winter's Curse, but you do have to still consider Jokam's Will-O-Wisp. So after perhaps the Will-O-Wisp is out.
You've got an MKB now on Savage, you've got a Deso coming out on Moon, and you've got a Pipe on Ice. So really big item progression, and Miracle doesn't get over that little ditch, but it won't matter.
Yeah, and now you've got the disarm as well onto Forev. So you have some solutions to these issues, but it's still looking pretty scary. I think Moon with the Desolator, though, makes it a lot stronger. Savage and the minus arm is just going to do so much work when they rely on these right clicks and immediate smoke up with these item pickups.
I don't blame them for that. They are going to run to the Radiant side triangle to try and get that big team fight they want. You could also just go into the Roshan if you don't find anybody.
Radiant
Roshan is just sitting there waiting to be taken. Fnatic really want that team fight. So Moon, he's going to try and bait in the side of Team 1. They aren't going to find anyone, so instead, Jabs does scan out the Roche. Fnatic still seem unwilling to take it. There are pings now coming out for that Roshan pit. They will eventually go back for it.
Again, you've got that Desolator, you've got a Troll. It's not going to be up for too long.
See you later, nerd.
Oh man.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
It's just that's just kind of ridiculous. That's basically 11 armor lost. Straight up, that's more than
Dire's
Assault
middle
Cures
tower
would give you.
is under attack.
Savage gonna start rotating up towards that top lane again. Team 1.
Radiant's
like
top tower is under attack.
They may just let it go down.
Invisibility!
Yeah, I mean, that is falling a bit too fast. T1 will just have to surrender it. There is still one tier 2 left. I don't think Fnatic will leave that lying around for too long. And once that's cleared out, of course, the entire map is just opened up for Fnatic.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Look at Ice as well, Johnny. He's gonna have that agony
Radiant's
Spectre
middle
coming
tower
up.
is under
That's
attack.
that point where it becomes really hard for the Spectre. It just buffs up so many debuffs for Ice to have, all of which are gonna work up against the Spectre very well. And I think you just prioritize this, like just go for the Ags first. You essentially become unkillable. That Heartstopper aura doing 5% damage a second or something like that is kind of ridiculous.
It's it just makes it harder for T1 to stay in that long fight, as you mentioned, and T1 recently hasn't been able to shut Ice down. Like, Ice, for the most part, is forced to sight up supports, but they're still finding those kills. So it's starting to become an issue here for T1. And again, despite having the kill lead, it's now a 13k gold advantage for Fnatic. They've just used this map space really well, and T1 are still starving out. You have decent farm on Miracle, but he's still saving up for the Abyssal, and even then, the Abyssal's not going to stop the onslaught from Fnatic.
Bounties are coming out. Fnatic want to try and force the team fight
Radiant's
again.
middle tower has
They may go high ground with this Aegis now. It's just hard to find a way to initiate with this kind of draft here from Fnatic. You're kind of relying either on Moon or DJ to get that initiation in. Maybe even Jabs on that Wyvern. in your dream. We'll push out the top lane as well, so you kind of got to go back and defend that. So Jabs will take care of it. Just going to continue to buy more time for T1.
Allies disappear.
Looks like the side of T1 will also smoke it up now, but they run straight into the move. Shadow kind of bursts it down, and he does go down. Savage gonna run in with his BKB, trying to go after Paulson. Paulson being quite good at fighting away from this troll, but now the BKB's worn off. Still, Savage doesn't really have a target. Nice size getting controlled up. He's creep blocked right now. He is completely surrounded by creeps. He's just stuck. Too savage. And Paulson trying to go after DJ. Savage still dealing with In Your Dream. They can take him out. It's really bad news for the side of T1. And they will chase for more. Joe Camp is going to be the no, never mind. They're hit with the slow.
This is really bad for T1. They got sighted on IYD and he doesn't have buyback hold, so he's gonna have to sit through this extended respawn timer.
DJ Avalanche not gonna be there. He's delaying things out with the blinding light. Not gonna be delaying things too often though. DJ trying to find the combat. Avalanche gonna be there off the Paulson, but Fnatic will ignore him. Well, they can sprout the racks up like that, but Savage does still have the Battle Fury to come through the tree line. Does eventually get that mid range, and now on to the bottom of the great top back from DJ. Paulson now forced to snowball, but where's he going? He is going onto the Tiny, all the way outside his base, and he's going to be surrounded once again. He does pop his BKB charge, and a nice charge up from Paulson as well. He does get away, but look at Savage. He's not even chasing the task. He's going after that T3 bot tower.
Has fallen.
To make matters worse, Ice now comes back into that necrophone. Ice just sitting there in his pain right now. Did he DC? He's sitting there we go. He starts moving again. Purple is on the side. The lift of the spire, the mountain of the radiant side. They are really falling quite low. Now the ensnares come out from Paulson. He does end up going down.
Radiant's bottom
the Aegis has expired though on Savage. But that probably won't force them back.
No, definitely not. You've got the Daedalus up on Moon as well, additional damage coming out, and they're still going to try to defend. Ice is done. Ice is just dead.
We'll come back for it. Doesn't take too much damage out of it. Savage will just keep going. Now the Horn of Miracle onto that troll. Can you actually deal with Savage? It looks like they can. He does go down now. And the rest of Fnatic will have to back out. They'll also lose Moon on the Mirana. Toss back onto Brett. But Ice is kind of stuck right now. He'll keep Ghost forming up. He's got it on the 10-second cooldown. Hold and brace there from Jabs. Can you actually kill the Necrophone? Forever getting stunned up. Sunstrike not gonna land. They lose the assault. Top by side. Guy wins the supplementary die. Now this curse though. It will be on to Miracle. He does the blinding with the power.
是一个没有感情的刷钱机。
That was the play coming out from Fnatic, and they got wiped, except for Jabs, but they find the objectives anyway. Maybe messed around a bit too much with Ice just standing there for the most part. He's not even in range for the Heartstopper, you know? He was so far back. He was just there. It's a bit silly, but Fnatic now have a Rax advantage. 15k net worth lead. T1, you're losing Miracle a bit too much there. He needs to live through all of this damage, and you look at the net worth, Mike, Miracle's about 6k behind, and even then, he's only about 1k ahead of Ice. Ice, who kept dying early in that game, so there's a lot of things that still needs to be done here for T1. Although 4F does manage to build up the Monkey King bar, so he can dish some damage out onto the troll, especially when the axes come out. It's just his right-click damage isn't that impressive anywhere.
Just need every bit of damage you can get right now if you are T1, it seems. We are still getting closer to that Abyssal. He needs the recipe on the Spectre. We'll be able to farm that up soon, and I'm sure they'll try to just get that completed before they go in any further with team fights up against Fnatic.
Shadows take us.
Moonlight Shadow, though, has been used. Savage gonna run straight into the corner with the first hidden stand, but DJ, nice top range Joker. The 4 stars does not matter.
No, definitely doesn't, and just one more kill on the kill board for Fnatic. You take a look at how they're itemizing as well on Moon. He's going straight for that Moon Shard. Machine Gun, Mirana build making a reappearance. Have to say it's pretty fun to watch. No Maelstrom this time though, but
The prize is
who
mine.
needs that when you can just melt right through him?
Yeah, why not? Both teams may also just wait out the Roshan. Like, Fnatic may be unwilling to go high ground again without that Aegis. I say that, but look at Jack. Takes on first there onto Miracle with Media Hammer. Now DJ will jump in. They do take out a lot of HP, but from Paulson won't be popped as well by the Spec. He's trying to juke them out right now. DJ, are you going in or out? He wants to get out, but Moon does dish out a lot of damage, so Miracle, he's actually going to hide from the Roshan pitch. What are you finding out though? They do catch him out from Moon. This is the arrow. Miracle is trapped up right now between some ice shards and does end up dying.
Come feast for the flesh fly.
No buyback. He doesn't even finish the Abyssal, and no buyback. 400 away. This is going to be a really hard defense. Oh no.
Yeah.
This is
Radiant's
it's
top
going to be
tower
such a
is
hard
under
defense.
attack.
I don't think he can even defend. Like, Savage just runs up there. Towers are all gone. Last rack's going to be gone.
Well, there's an adds up one in your brain now,
Radiant's
so
top tower has fallen.
maybe we could do some crazy
Radiant
focus stuff.
structures are fortified.
But
我是一
Radiant's
个
top
没有
tower
感
is
情
under
的刷
attack.
钱机器。
that top rack's gonna melt quite quickly.
Radiant's top barracks has fallen. Radiant's
Just
top
eat the
barracks
cheese.
has fallen. The Dire now
Two
have
megas. Meanwhile, just standing there AFK again. Doesn't really care. Now walks away with the ghost down with the silver. DJ does find the bonfire damage. And this is going to be the winner who's being dropped down. Moon going after Paulson. Paulson with the Glimmercake though will survive. Jabs will smoke everyone up. Just try and run the great with just goes back up to Paulson, but now a tornado. On top of the wire. Savage getting started on the Joker. There goes the top. Nice force up there on the right. Pointing Savage. He pops that battle ram. This time out now from the ram. Just protecting himself. Savage may actually ends up dying and does do so. But now in your dream, getting tossed back by DJ. It won't matter though if you don't have the damage, and DJ's just stuck in the trees right now, needs to get out of there. So does Bill, but they will both die.
The next lady
On the bright side, they got Megas before they died, but this is a chance to T1.
just happened.
Yeah, did you see Ice? He just bailed out early.
Yeah,
He just left. He just left him. Instead of staying to heal up, maybe pop the pipe. Nah, he's done dying. They did their job. No more commitments. He just wants to farm. Oh, he has a 25 as well.
oh good.
What's he opting for?
I guess
Which
the-
talent do you go for?
For the aura.
There you go. Yeah. Witty Ags in the Ghost Shroud. That's not fun. Not fun to fight into.
You don't really want to give up this Roshan if you're Fnatic. That's I mean, they're feeling confident clearly. They do have mega creeps. But this one, giving an Aegis away like this can be problematic, and it does have a refresher shard on top of that. For now, they are making their way with Rio Jams, who does commit the curse to get himself out, but Perez has secured the kill down properly. And with that Roshan definitely going to die. Their T4s are being pushed in at the moment though.
Dire's courier has been killed.
Still going to be pushed in. That Roshan's still not dead.
Dire's courier has been killed.
No, Ice's courier was trying to steal some stuff, but doesn't get away with it.
Double damage.
Yeah, and that's a nice turn for T1. You look at that net worth advantage, Mike drops down to 3k. For the side of T1, but it's tricky. You're still up against Megas. you can't quite reach those tier 3s, and Fnatic, they're respawning. Slowly just gonna be building up once more before committing to that high ground.
What does Dota Plus say right now? Well, it actually went up substantially after that last team fight in Roshan. It was sitting around 95% but for the side of Fnatic, but now it's actually at 87%. So T1, 13% chance of winning this game. It's not too bad considering the circumstances.
Yeah, it's still pretty slim, but there are opportunities here. This is still a Spectre that is being given time and space to grow big, so we are starting to see Miracle build up, but Fnatic, Moonlight Shadow, it's only DJ though up in front.
Yeah, they'll just moonlight for the bounties, it seems.
The prize is mine.
They're also trying to buy time for Savage to buy his own Abyssal Blade now. He'll have that up pretty soon, assuming he actually doesn't say for buyback. I imagine he will. Science pops the Ghost Shroud, just walking into the mid lane. Moon now, the side follows another got him out with the Sunstrike coming in, and they are going to find the kill. Now, the Snowball in jump as well. The side of T1, they do the curse drop, but they have lost too. Miracle can keep trying to chase here onto DJ. Shark's going to be there with the Walrus Punch from Pulse to finish the job off.
Такая халява!
You can't get the chicken before they hatch, Shark.
That was costly.
No, definitely not. No buybacks on the two supports. This is a big opportunity for T1 to push down an objective. And they certainly can, although it does look like Savage will try to make that as hard as possible by kind of getting a split push of his
Dire's middle
own.
tower is under attack.
Perez is already in base, ready to defend though. But I guess if Savage just commits all the way, you kind of don't want to be up there with
Dire's
the
middle
next up
tower
against Troll.
has fallen.
But Savage will just TP out anyway. He's going to come back in for the defense.
Dire's middle tower is
Nullify
under
is
attack.
also up on Miracle.
Dire's structures are fortified.
And the repair kit
It's gonna be
always going to be a nuisance for the person trying to chase that high ground push.
yeah, and they're just kind of forced back. They can't really go for the push now. Supports are respawning in a bit. And T1, they actually drag that net worth lead to their side. Miracle, with that nullifier, it's a lot harder to deal with now on the spec. Really starting to pump out that damage and the control. So Fnatic, they need to get that sight on the Spectre. They just need to toss ice there, sight him down, burst him down, and seal out the game for themselves if that's what they want to do. But looks like multiple connection problems for every side means that we have a bit more of a wait.
Yeah, we do. And with that weight, nobody's playing Playground. Meepo's popping up on the screen. Oh, there we go. Moon's got it. He does win. They were just kind of left there. He just took the W for the team. We'll get back into it. Everyone's back.
You know, there is a bit of concern here with Fnatic. You're at the point now where the Spectre is just a bit wild. The potency of Moon on Mirana feels like it is slipping a bit away, especially when he is isolated. So you can't afford to have Moon too far forward now. And you most certainly want some buyback gold to be up and running on Fnatic. They've put themselves in a bit of a perilous situation, just bordering on the edge of bleeding out this game.
Well, Fnatic, they're going to start roaming in through the mid lane. Single fire. You get spotted out, but they'll get a D-ward out there onto the Dire Triangle, the Radiant Triangle. Miracle is still very far forward, just farming. Trying to bait for his team, it looks like. Who has a refresher shot, by the way? Did they ever use it?
I
Radiant
never
scanning.
noticed that one. Maybe they just gave it to...
They have it on the copy.
Yeah. Just a Will-O-Wisp,
Dire
really nice
are
spell to have,
scanning.
and a nice scan out from Fnatic.
Salamene smiles upon me.
Very long route to take here for Team 1, just gonna run all the way around their own jungle. Fnatic. Smoke up again, they give up the high ground, but they're gonna go for... They're gonna try and snake the base, it looks like. They're gonna take the Radiant high ground, and then break the smoke now. Horns coming out with a break with a whip, and now the Cataclysm. It's gonna be a lot of damage. What a combination, but it doesn't matter. Savage from the middle, it's not going. It's starting to buyback now, and Savage getting low, does get the battle trance off, but he's for tornado up. Refresh, another Will-O-Wisp is there. Miracle, he does find Savage. He doesn't have buyback call.
Radiant's
Eyesight buyback is coming to BT as well as Fnatic. What have you done?
Oh boy.
There's a defense going on here just by forever. The ancient one is going. But they fucked it up pretty much everyone. DJ's still trying to run, but Miracle is on the chase with Jokam. More daggers flying out. They're not finding the Tiny. And Eyesight says the One Punch Man apparently.
Radiant's Ancient is under
What are you planning on doing?
Oh. Where is he?
Jokam?
He's still hiding in the tree line. I think that's something there.
Radiant's Ancient is under
Like
attack.
now as well. There goes the ghost form. They're good. No, you can't. Imagine we got away with that. That would have been disgusting. Illuminate
That would have been wrong. That would have been so wrong if you got away. And Fnatic, boy, are they trying to throw this one out. I have to say that that is just a bit silly of them. They tried to make it work, not quite enough. That refresh really worked against them there. And fortunately for Fnatic, T1 just cannot push fast enough. The respawns are coming up. And this is going to give Fnatic enough time to come back in for the defense. It's so odd that T1 is just hanging by their Ancient. Every single fight that stalls out just a bit too much can work against them, because the creep wave will just go straight to the titular Ancient. Yeah, it's just, that's it. T1 holding on by the skin of their teeth, and man, it's just on the edge for them.
Yeah, there's nothing else blocking them. There's going to be a refresher orb.
Oh no.
Jokam. So you've got double Will-O-Wisp. There's a lot on the line here as well for that next Roshan, because you're going to have a refresher shard there as well as an Aghanim's Blessing. Would refresher shard work on refresher orb?
Yeah, you know what?
Because you could have 4 Will-O-Wisps going on at the same time.
I have no clue. I would be very terrified of that possibility. That does not sound fair.
The line's being drawn out through the mid and top lane. For Team 1, that is.
And you look at Savage, look what he's building up next. He's just trying to go for the Divine. Just go all in. I don't know, it doesn't feel like it's enough. They've been controlling him really well. The disarms coming out. The stuns after his preemptive BKBs, it's just not enough for him to stand there. And Fnatic needs to toss someone else in to start these fights besides Savage. He just cannot be kited around.
They smoked on.
Radiant are scanning.
Hitting very hard right now with that DD rune. Jams though, can break the smoke, does spot out, curse up the task. There is going to be a auto. Miracle gets a future wave up. Back Savage uses the BKB and battle trance, but can't really find a target for himself. He's trying back up. Now Avalanche flying out as well, but really nobody's gone yet. There is the Rift beside Fix Rift on Forever. He doesn't die either. Now the Cataclysm, they do kill off Savage. Forever does go down, good, almost falling as well. Miracle trying to go after Necrophos and Eyesight Sight. He will go try up again. But Miracle is really dedicated to try and kill this man off. Eyesight Sight for the team. Does actually get off in time, but they did also lose Moon on that Mirana. Now the chase is on for DJ. They do get the Warrior Punch. Miracle doesn't land, but Miracle trying to get the kill off his kill. And Jabs also dies. back at the Radiant base, there are creeps coming in. There's no creep waves for T1 to be able to push into. So they can't give time for Fnatic.
They can't push. They win the fights and they just can't push the objectives. Whoa. They just can't go for them. I think we're going to hit the point where T5s come out. And that's going to be the great equalizer in this game. It's just tough. Like, there's been no progress for Savage towards that Divine. And again, I'm really not sure if that's the answer here. You saw how much he was being kited around. It's getting tricky for him to find a target, and it looks like he is queuing up the Nullifier instead. Could potentially help. You look at Moon, queuing up the Satanic as well. There's just no gold. There's really no gold right now in these cores. They've bled it all away from these constant deaths. They need to find some space to at least save for the buybacks, because there is a lot of pressure now from Tier 1. Like, look at that, 13k advantage all of a sudden. And you look at the win probability, Mike, 55% for T1. A massive bounce.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
It's a massive bounce. Up as well. T1 could easily go for it, but they're just kind of shoving out the waves for now.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
It's looking very, very tough to deal with now on that Spectre. Of course, look at how many couriers are around the Roshan pit right now. Everyone's courier from the Dire is at the Roshan pit. They've literally got all their couriers there having a picnic at the
Dire's
Roshan
middle
pit.
tower is under attack.
They know it's on.
Of the wood.
Push into the mid lane, of course. Fnatic have a repair kit and there's backdoor protection, but
Dire's
Forever he's hitting
structures are
hard.
fortified. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
They're going to go back for the Roche.
Dire's
Courier's
courier
flying
has
out now. They
been
did
killed.
off Moon's courier. T1's almost guaranteed to get this Roshan. It's just going to be a matter of how much the couriers can take off. They aren't going to make this time to find this stuff. They're trying to get there.
To the radiant.
He...
Dire's courier
No,
has been killed.
okay.
Now,
Meanwhile, Reaper's side, Arrow is there. Reaper's side with a full instant target, mind you. Winter's Curse comes out now. Paulson is gonna die. Oh, these pauses.
See you later,
My goodness.
nerds.
So many crashes going on.
See you later, nerds. See you later, nerds.
yeah, it's well, yep. DK, got a point. Play some Dota. Come on.
The reconnect.
It's a bit tricky. Who got the blessing? Yeah, there you go. Thank you, fellow caster. It's the NP Ags blessing.
Nice.
So more damage on the rat, and of course, potential for greater treants coming out. That's one way to get the push out.
Yeah, the Greater Treants may actually be able to defend against the Mega Creep somewhat. Not entirely, but it does definitely help for who has been on defense duty this whole time.
Ready for a comeback.
Everyone just gonna get out of there. The casual gem has just been left on the deck. Nobody cares. There's no space left really. We are at the 55-minute mark. Do you just wait for 60 minutes now if you're Fnatic?
I'd say yes. Just pick it up. Just get those tier 5 items up and running. Right now, Miracle is just uncontrollable. Every single time Ice is forced to Reaper someone else, they just need to, if they catch Miracle out, that could potentially get, wow.
No, the range text with the Prince's Knife.
Yeah, with the tree grab toss. That's that is silly.
That is ridiculous. Here we go again. He's gonna just toss another tree in. Here we go. Miracle. No, there's no illusion this time. DP got the wrong one. Miracle is... Might go on Moon right now. He has the muscle and they'll jump in. Cataclysm's gonna be there, not really landing on much. In fact, that was just a Sunstrike. Both teams just gonna attempt to avoid each other for now.
Shadows.
Yeah, it's slow build up, although Moonlight.
They really want that Spectre. Arrow gonna land. It's a 5-second stun. Ice to spin up at the top lane. He's not actually joining his team. He's finally gonna walk over now.
Oh man, it's a tricky fight for both sides. It's a tricky game for both sides. You look, the win probability bounces back to Fnatic. 52% chance they win. So I don't reckon our AI knows what's up anymore, Mike.
Neither do I, John. Brem has a moonshot up. Gonna go for a satanic afterwards.
Yeah, he hits like a truck. Might as well kind of go for it. And there is a smoke from Fnatic. Savage does break it, so I'm. Oh no, it was just the it was just a ninja gear, I suppose. Or jabs, of course. What you'd expect from the Wyvern.
The Savage is still trying to go for that silver edge. We were talking about that about 20-30 minutes ago now. Just decides he might need it this time around. So it looks like he will
What does he
go back
replace though?
Maybe
Like it gets a bit tricky. Yeah, just swap out the S and Y, swap it back in the fight.
Scanning. Vent.
It is starting to be difficult with all your slots up still. Another Moonlight. Do have the 25 talent Moon.
So you can just spam Moonlight over and over again now.
Dire are scanning.
In your drain, you're gonna run into jabs and look at the vessel.
Wicked sick.
Yeah, the Ice getting jumped in. Will-O-Wisp is there. All the control in the world. Savage jumping onto Forev. Not quite enough. Forev does get to go away in Miracle now. Patching out. Second Will-O-Wisp. They do manage to freeze up Forev. He's still alive. They get the sight off onto the Tusk. Paulson taken out. Savage left behind. Is dead. Does have buyback.
Alright, thank you for that, John. So, looks like a pretty big team fight, but he jumps in on that tiny corner brace gonna be there. Spirit Vessel on top of him. As well, DJ gonna fall quite low here as well. Continues moving forward. They toss him backwards, but DJ will die. He'll buy back immediately as Jans comes in as well. Now Ice with the Ghost Trap trying to jump onto that Spectre, and they are starting to surround him slowly but surely. Savage jumps in with the Abyssal Blade now. Miracles for this, like it's very, very low. Arrow as well. This should be the death of the Spectre, and it is. He does have buyback.
It's gonna be back and forth. This is probably the last engagement. Everyone kind of expending their big buybacks there. Especially in Fnatic's side. That is literally nearly every single hero except Moon. So you are seeing the... Yeah, perfect timing, right when T1 isn't quite able to go out of base as well.
So 4 Spooks are there on the Necrophos, size. Take those for himself. The rest of Fnatic look like they're done waiting for this, and well, they just jump in. Oh no. They are going off Miracle with the big combo. Cataclysm is there. Now they're just as well. A secondary Cataclysm is not going to matter the action. It's on the team. However, Newgreen jumps with a huge piss up with a deafening blast. He does get off Savage. I don't know from still out of jab. They are rushing the action. It is not mattering though. They're killing them off. I press out into that off with the tosses. Flying in. Not enough. Newgreen does die, but Moon also dies. And the ancient remains safe. Just barely. Or double. DJ. Still get the hex off that tree.
Is under.
He can actually just damage the ancient. Come back in now. They're gonna just kill them by torturing them here with the tosses.
Radiant's Ancient is under
Slowly,
attack.
but surely.
Oh man.
Getting it controlled by the head. More tosses flying in.